you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do.
Thank you.
Good day, Mrs. Pripstein. How are you?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Would you please state and spell your name for the court reporter?
Mina, Kanter dash Pripstein.
And is it okay if I address you as Mrs. Pripstein?
Yes.
Okay. And where do you live, Mrs. Pripstein? Okay. And that's in Philadelphia?
In Philadelphia.
And we're in your apartment right now?
Right.
Okay. And how long have you lived in this apartment?
25 years approximately.
Okay. And where did you grow up?
Philadelphia.
And well, since you were a child, have you ever lived anywhere but Pennsylvania?
No.
Okay. Are you currently married?
Widowed.
Okay. And how long ago did your husband pass away?
12 years.
Okay. And do you have any children?
I have 2 children.
Where do they live?
My daughter lives in Spring Valley, New York, which is about 45 minutes outside of New York City. My son lives in Marietta, Pennsylvania, which is near Lancaster.
Okay. About how long a drive is Marietta from here?
Approximately 2 hours, I'm told, yeah.
Okay. And do you have any grandchildren?
3.
Do any of them live in the Philadelphia area?
No.
Now, I noticed when you were walking over to the table here, it looks like you were walking a little slowly. Do you have trouble walking?
I do.
And why is that?
Well, about 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I broke my leg, and I was told at that time by the doctor that he didn't want to operate because it was a clean break. He would cast it, but that I would eventually have some trouble with my knees, and I could come back at that time. I'm not having trouble now.
Okay. And do you ever, or have you ever used a wheelchair?
Yes, at that time I did.
And when you say at that time?
When I broke my leg.
Okay. Do you currently use a wheelchair?
I beg your pardon?
Do you currently use a wheelchair?
No.
Do you use a walker or a cane?
I've tried using a cane. I'm terribly awkward.
Okay. Do you drive a car?
I'm thinking of getting a walker. No, I gave up about a year ago.
Okay. And why did you give up driving?
I found the cars were going past me, and I thought I was going at a nice clip, and I just thought it was probably a good time when you get to be 90, and you've had a good driving record. Why take chances?
Okay. And sorry to pry, but would you mind telling me how old you are now?
I'm 92.
Okay. Are you registered to vote, Mrs. Pripstein?
Yes.
How often do you vote?
Every chance I get.
And do you remember the first time you voted?
Yes. I voted for Roosevelt.
Okay. And when you vote, do you typically vote in person or by absentee ballot?
In person.
And where is your polling place?
It's in this building, on the 2nd floor.
And how long have you been voting at that polling place?
Well, I've lived here 25 years, so all the time that I'm here.
Okay. And how do you get there from your apartment?
It's a cinch elevator.
Okay. And is it ever difficult for you to get there?
No.
And what kind of a wait do you typically encounter on Election Day when you go to vote?
Wait? Oh. It's not too bad. You go at the right time. I try to go after lunch, not too early in the morning, not too late in the evening, sometime in the early afternoon. And maybe I'll be fourth or fifth in line.
Okay. And in recent years, have you ever voted by absentee ballot?
No.
To get an absentee ballot, you would have to sign a legal declaration stating that you are unable to attend your polling place because of illness or physical disability. If there were an election today, could you sign a declaration stating that?
Today, no.
And if you were told that you could no longer vote in person, but that you'd have to mail in your ballot, how would you feel about that?
Uncomfortable.
And why is that?
I like the feeling of going to a polling place. I don't know why I feel that way, but I do.
Okay. Did you vote in the November 2012 election?
Yes.
And at that election,
Was that the primary?
I'm sorry, I'm asking about the general election last year, the
Oh,
presidential
yes.
election.
Okay.
And at that election, did anyone say anything to you at the polling place about showing a photo ID?
We joked about it, but nobody said anything serious about it.
Okay. At the November 2012 election, did anyone at the polling place say anything to you about needing to show IDs in future elections?
No.
Okay. Did you know the people who were working at the polls that election?
Most of them.
Okay. Did you vote in the May 2013 primaries?
May 13th?
May of 2013.
Oh,
In those primaries?
yes.
And at that election, did anyone at the polling place say anything to you about showing photo ID?
No.
Did anyone at the polling place give you a pamphlet or other written information about a photo ID law?
No.
Have you ever served as a poll worker?
Yes.
When did you do that?
I did it this past primary.
In May of 2013?
Mm-hmm.
Had you ever done it before then?
No.
And was that at the same polling place where you vote?
Yes.
What were your responsibilities as a poll worker?
Well, there's a line of people. We would sit behind a table, and people would pass in front of us. I was last in line, and they gave me a book, and everybody's name had to be written in that book with the number of that they were, number 1 on up, and the person in front of me would hand me a card with the voter's name written in it, and then I could transfer that to the book permanently, and then she could vote.
Okay. Did you have to show a photo ID to anybody to become a poll worker?
No.
Would you be interested in continuing to serve as a poll worker in this building?
Sure.
Now, have you ever had a Pennsylvania driver's license?
Yes.
Do you have a valid driver's license right now?
It's not valid, but I have it.
Okay.
It's expired.
And when did it expire?
It expired 1 year after my birthday.
Sorry, 1 year after your birthday?
Well, I mean, yeah.
Was it 1 year after your birthday or 1 day after your birthday that it expired?
My birthday, August 31st.
Uh-huh.
And I think it expired a year after it. Am I wrong?
Well, I'll ask you the questions, but
I don't know.
okay.
Sure.
Do you know the year when your driver's license expired?
I thought it expired in, where are we in, 12.
So I'm sorry, you're saying your driver's license expired in 2012.
Oh, yeah.
And what's your birthday?
August 31st.
And so do you know the date when your driver's license expired?
I really don't.
Okay. Would it...
I didn't bother.
Okay. would it refresh your recollection if I told you the date, September 1st, 2012?
That would be the day after my birthday.
Okay. And is it your understanding that that's the date your license expired?
I guess so. I really didn't think about it too much.
Okay. Do you have but you know for sure that it is expired?
Oh, it has expired by now, yes, because it held up for me to vote.
Okay.
It was okay then, but it expired soon after that.
Okay. Now, do you have any understanding about how long after a driver's license expires you're allowed to use it for voting under the new law?
Oh, excuse me, I thought you were talking about expiring and to use it for voting.
Okay, could you elaborate on what you mean?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I can try. You asked me, it expired, not, I stopped driving, and once I stopped driving, the only thing I ever used my card for was to ID myself at a store.
Okay.
Occasionally, the voting would come up, but not that often.
Okay.
And I thought about it expiring as a voting thing and not as a shopping thing.
I'm sorry. Okay, so do you know when the license expired for driving purposes?
For what?
For driving purposes, when the license expired?
I did think that it was 9 months after, or a year, but I didn't worry about the difference.
Okay. Do you have a current U.S. passport?
No.
Do you have any other ID other than your expired driver's license with your picture on it?
No.
Have you sought to renew your license since it expired?
I thought about renewing it to use as an ID. I haven't been able to get anywhere.
Okay. When you first got that driver license, the one that's now expired, do you remember where you went to get it?
No.
Okay.
I don't even remember where I lived at that point.
Okay. Did you? No, I don't mean your very first driver's license. I mean the one that recently expired.
Oh, I did it by when I had to get a picture.
Right.
I went to Market Street.
Okay. And do you remember how you got to Market Street?
I took a bus from here, and I walked from Wanamaker's to the PennDOT place.
Okay. And is there a bus that travels between this building and downtown Philadelphia?
We have a private bus.
And when you say we have, you mean, are you referring to the condo association?
Am I what?
When you say we have a private bus, who do you mean?
I mean the apartment house.
Okay. And do you ever ride that bus now?
Very rarely.
When was the last time you rode that bus?
I just recalled I had a friend who died a month ago, and I rode over in the bus with 3 friends. We helped each other. The reason I don't ride it is because I'm afraid to step down. I'm afraid my leg will collapse.
Okay.
It hurts when I step down. It feels weak. But I went with the other people and I was helped. I had to get to the Kennedy House.
Okay.
And the bus stopped for us right in front.
Have you...
Coming back, I took a taxi cab.
Okay. Have you ridden that bus? Do you remember any other times you've ridden that bus recently?
I had a doctor's appointment. I was afraid to take it. I took a cab. No, that was the last time.
Okay. Do you ever ride a SEPTA bus or subway train?
I can't get to them, no.
Okay. Do you ever use paratransit?
No.
When you see a doctor, how do you get to a doctor's appointment?
with difficulty. I usually call a cab.
Okay. Do you remember the last time you took a cab to a doctor's appointment?
Clearly.
And when was that?
Oh, it was about a month ago.
Okay.
I went to the eye doctor, and he gave me a new prescription. And
Sorry?
I went out to get a cab to come home, and a young girl opened the door for me. She was there to open and close the doors. And I said to her, I guess I have to walk up to Walnut Street. She said, you're not walking anywhere. And she said, you just stay right here. I'll go get it for you. I said, can you leave your job? Don't worry. She was very lovely. She did bring me back a cab.
Okay. Do you remember how much it cost to take that taxi?
Yes. It cost me $15 each way.
Okay. And have you gotten that new prescription filled?
No.
Why not?
I have no way of getting over to get it done. I thought my son was going to come in, and he does come every 2 weeks, and I figured he could take me. But we ran into another problem. Where would he park and know when to come back and get me? It got awfully complicated. There's no place to park in town. And if he took me in the bus, which he could, it helped me, I have to walk 2 blocks. I'm not sure I could do that, 2.5 blocks.
Okay.
So I've just kind of sat with the prescription. I haven't gotten it done yet. My world's getting a little smaller.
How far do you typically, well, let me ask you this way. Do you ever get rides places in a car from one of your family members or friends?
I have one friend that drives.
Okay. And how far do you typically travel by car when you go places?
I guess as far as the suburbs.
Okay. Would you be able to ride in a car to Harrisburg and back?
No.
Okay. And if you can do your best to tell me about how many times in the last 6 months have you gone somewhere other than a doctor's appointment by vehicle?
In the last 6 months. Other than that funeral, I don't think I have.
Now, if you had to go to the PennDOT Driver License Center at 8th and Arch to get photographed for a new ID card, how would you feel about doing that?
I don't know if I'd be able to do it.
And why not?
Well, the bus won't take me there. It'll drop me off at Wanamaker's. If I could get in the bus, I say people were going that knew me and could help me in and out, but then how would I walk that far? That's far for me. I don't even walk around the store anymore. No, I couldn't do it. I'd have to maybe take a cab, but then I'd have to come out and try to find one to get back. I don't think I'd bother.
Okay. Well, what if you had to choose between getting your picture taken at 8th and Arch and not voting in the next election? What would you choose?
Sir?
Yes.
I think I wouldn't bother
You wouldn't bother what?
going
To PennDOT or going
get my
to vote?
picture taken. I just wouldn't vote.
Okay. Now, can I also ask you where do you get groceries?
Downstairs,
Uh,
we have a supermarket.
okay. And what about other shopping? How do you do other shopping?
Catalogs.
Okay. Now, have you heard anything about ID cards for people who are ineligible for regular PennDOT ID cards?
No.
Have you ever heard of something called the Department of State ID card?
No.
And have you heard anything about some way to renew your PennDOT ID without getting your picture retaken?
No, I can't imagine that.
Is voting important to you, Mrs. Pripstein?
Voting is very important to me.
Why is that?
That's what the country's based on, being able to vote. It's a privilege, and I'm willing to give up some privileges because I'm getting old, but I don't want to give up that yet.
It's a little bit afternoon, so good afternoon, Mrs.
Good
Pripstein.
afternoon.
Again, my name's Kevin Schmidt. I just have a few follow-up questions. Ma'am, you just testified that voting is important to you. Would it be important enough if you needed to go to PennDOT to ask your friend who gives you rides to the suburbs to take you there?
Well, we only went to the suburbs once because we were going out to dinner, 4 ladies, and she was driving. No, I find it difficult to ask for favors, very difficult.
If you asked her, do you think she would take you there?
In a minute.
Okay. You said that despite voting being very important to you, you wouldn't vote in the next election if you had to go to PennDOT to get a new photo.
No. I'd like you to come back and ask me that when you're 93.
But you agree with me, that's what you testified to, correct, ma'am?
I did testify that, but I can't tell you what happens to you. Things do get less important. Things that you thought you never would be able to do without get a little bit less important to you.
So are you saying that voting's a little less important to you now?
I suppose it's less important than when I was 50, 60, 40, and when I was 20.
Right.
But it is a part of my life, and it's one of the few things I thought I'd always do.
And you testified earlier that you haven't made any efforts to renew your driver's license. Have you tried to surrender it?
No, I thought nobody really looks at the age. I want to see some idea who you are, and you show it to them. I wouldn't do it against the law, I don't think, but
No, nobody expects it.
nobody. But I kept it. Why, I can't tell you, but I did.
But have you tried to renew your driver's license, ma'am?
I don't want to drive anymore.
Okay. Have you tried to surrender it so that you could get a photo ID that's not for driving purposes, but would still serve for your shopping, for example?
I don't understand. Oh, well, I use my Visa card for that.
Okay. Let me.
I can't think of any reason.
Are you aware that PennDOT offers a photo ID for non-drivers so that you can use it to identify yourself?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you be interested, or have you made any efforts to try and get one of those IDs, ma'am?
I'd be interested, but I haven't made an effort.
Okay. And would you be interested in contacting PennDOT to see if you could do that by mail?
By mail? A picture? No, I don't know. I didn't think that was possible.
Have you ever called PennDOT to ask?
No, I wouldn't know how to do it. I mean, but not by mail. How would you take a picture by mail?
Well, let me ask you this, ma'am. If you could do it, would you be willing to find out how to do it from PennDOT?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't have anything against PennDOT.
Do you have any problem calling them? Are you able to call?
Am I able to call?
Yes. Do you have a telephone?
I have a telephone.
Okay. And would you have any problem reaching out to them to get information about trying to renew your license?
Sometimes a hearing problem, but that's
Okay.
it.
But that's it?
That's it. That's it.
Okay. Does now you testified, ma'am, that your apartment complex has its own transportation?
I don't know if it's 6 days a week or 5 days a week. 6, I guess. 'Cause I know that they don't go on Sunday.
Okay.
They make a turn.
And it's a bus?
Around a bus.
Okay. And
I was all right with it after I gave up my car. But when the leg started up, I was afraid to put my leg down. It felt like it was going to collapse.
okay. Does the driver help you in and out of the bus?
They're not supposed to. I don't honestly know. They're not supposed to. They are supposed to. And yet I heard of one that almost got fired because he helped a lady get out. She couldn't get out. She had the same trouble. Somebody on the bus reported her. I reported him. I can't understand it, so I don't know. I guess I just can't answer that.
In your past experiences, has any driver helped you on or off the bus?
No.
Okay. And does that bus, will that take you to a specific destination? Meaning if
No.
you give them the address, they'll take you there?
No.
Okay. Where will the bus take you?
It goes down Market Street, around City Hall. It stops at what used to be Wanamaker's, whatever it is now, and comes back up JFK. It makes stops on the corner at JFK, on the cross streets, and then it somehow goes past the museum to get home.
Now, ma'am, you talked about
Takes a half hour.
half an hour. You talked about using an ID to go shopping earlier. Is that a photographic identification card that you use?
No, I think I was thinking a Visa.
Okay, so when you purchase things, you use your Visa card. Okay. And do you shop anywhere else other than the grocery store in your apartment complex here?
I was just thinking of my credit. Go ask them. I guess, where else do I shop? I don't go to Macy's anymore. I get a lift when my son comes in. He takes me to Trader Joe. No. I've got the restaurant downstairs, the bank. I've got everything's right here.
How often does your son come in to take you to Trader Joe's or any place else?
Well, we thought we were going to do it every other week. It did work out almost that way sometimes, but he can't make a week, and he comes and stays overnight.
How old's your son?
63.
So, is it fair to say he comes every other week to see you?
I guess it's fair.
Okay. Man, what's the furthest you've traveled in the last year?
Didn't even get to Florida. My son picked me up. I went to Bard College to see my grandson married. I said, I can't do it, I just can't do it. And I did it.
Where's Bard College, man?
New York State.
Okay. And how long of a ride was that?
Endless. I honestly don't know. I think around 5 hours.
And did you do that drive all in one trip?
Did you ever go with my son?
I can't say that I have. But
We sure went all one way. Well,
it sounds like he doesn't like to stop when you're traveling.
we don't know. He doesn't.
And do you remember, ma'am, when you took that trip?
Oh, they were married in the summertime. They both graduated board, and let's see, and he had to go to Dartmouth in September. I'm talking out loud, and I shouldn't do that. When I went,
Was it this past summer, 2012?
no, it was the summer before.
Okay, so 2011 then?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Was it this summer? No, it was no, because he's been at Dartmouth 1 year. And he's finishing up his PhD, so this is the second year.
Ma'am, does your apartment complex have a concierge service?
If they do, I didn't use it. They call themselves concierge, but I no.
Do they call, if you want to go somewhere, will they call a taxi cab for you?
Yes.
Okay.
That he does. They call that concierge too now. Yeah. Yeah, I
Okay.
could call down and have that done.
Okay. What else do they do for you when you? What else can you ask them
They
to do
don't
for
pick you up off the floor, I'll tell you that. You've got to call the police.
Ma'am, is there anyone else local to your apartment complex that could give you a ride somewhere?
I don't know what you mean local to me.
Meaning, do you have any friends local other than?
Oh, I don't.
No, just the one friend and your son.
I've got some friends in the apartment. None of us drive anymore.
Okay.
Some of us don't walk anymore.
How do your friends get around in the apartment that don't drive?
About as good as I do,
Do they get rides as well?
occasionally. You see, I'm older than most of them, and they go places I don't go anymore. I stopped going to the Walnut Theater. I had 15 years of going because it's hard to get up and down the aisles.
Ma'am, do you still send and receive mail?
Do I send an email or?
Just regular mail, old-fashioned paper mail with stamps.
No, I ask most people to please email me because my hands are arthritic and it makes it difficult. But I take care of my own checkbook, and I take care of my daughter's portfolio, and I did my aunt's till she died, and I do mine. And I wish somebody would come, for God, and take it from me.
Ma'am, was that a job that you had earlier?
My mother taught me when I was 16. She took me. I'm not supposed to do much talking. She took me to Staffers, where all the men would smoke cigars. It was horrible. And and the tape would go, and she would teach me. It was wonderful. So I didn't work, no, but I was able to take care of my children for a while.
So you do it for your family. You never did it professionally, though. And ma'am, do you have a computer in your apartment here?
Of course.
And you're capable of getting on the internet?
Yes.
But you got to be careful, right?
The mind works.
Yes.
Still, not as good, but it works.
And you use email?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't most people?
Ma'am, how did you get involved as a witness in this lawsuit?
God knows. How did I get involved in this? This nice man called me on the phone, and I couldn't say no.
And that's Attorney Geffen sitting to your left?
Yes.
Did he ever tell you how he got your name or your telephone number?
Through another agency.
What was the name of that agency?
I don't know, and I'm ready to kill him.
Okay, so at some point you got a call out of the blue from somebody's office?
Exactly.
And what did they ask you to do?
I didn't hear them.
Okay. But at
And
some
I
point
didn't- I didn't hear the number.
Okay.
I'm furious when people do that. They leave their number at the end, and their voice goes down naturally, and I put the damn thing up to my ear, and I can't hear a thing.
Mrs. Pripstein, thank you so much for accommodating my request for the documents that you reference. I'm looking at them, and I've shown them to Attorney Geffen, and it looks like it's a Delaware Valley Regional Planning Commission questionnaire, which doesn't relate to this matter. So to clarify, and that's okay. That's okay. We appreciate it.
That's all right. This is how we do business.
Right. Let me clarify my question then. Did when were you contacted by Mr. Geffen?
I don't remember. A couple of weeks ago.
Were you contacted by Mr. Geffen?
Yes.
Okay. And what was your conversation? What did he ask you to do?
He asked me if I'd be willing to go to Harrisburg, if I could do that. And I said, no, I couldn't. Okay. And then he said, would I agree to have somebody come over here?
To do what?
Depose me, I guess, is to interview me.
And why did he ask you to go to Harrisburg?
Because you're having a meeting about this. I didn't know anything about this. I was really shocked.
What's your understanding of what your role is here, man?
Every place I go, my role seems to be age. So I presume that's what it is now. You're showing the difficulty.
Do you realize that you're a witness in a lawsuit about Act 18, which is a voter ID law?
I realize that I'm a witness insofar as, yes, the ID, but only insofar as Pennsylvania is concerned.
Correct. And when you had your conversations with Mr. Geffen or anybody else at his office, did they explain that to you?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Sure. When you had your conversation with Mr. Geffen, did they explain that you were going to be a witness in this lawsuit?
This is a lawsuit?
Yes, ma'am.
No, I didn't know it was a lawsuit. I thought it was a protest.
So this is the first time you're finding out that there's a lawsuit that you're a witness in?
Well, no, I kind of got an idea that when all this came, it would have to be.
Okay.
It's the most exciting thing that's happened to me in about 40 years.
Did you meet with anybody from Mr. Geffen's office?
No.
Okay. So you only talked to somebody there one time on the telephone?
It was Mr. Geffen.
Okay. Is that correct? You only talked to him once on the telephone?
I think you called me twice. Once to introduce yourself and say, would I do this? And once more to confirm a date.
Okay. At any time, did they offer you any assistance to try and get your driver's license renewed?
No.
Okay. Mrs. Pripstein, those are all the questions I have for you. I really appreciate your cooperation today.
Thank you. I have just a few follow-up questions on some of the topics that that counsel just asked you about. You were asked, or you testified that you had a friend who gives you rides places occasionally?
Ronnie.
Yeah. And you testified that your friend, that you think that if you asked your friend would be willing to drive you to PennDOT. Is that right? Do you know how you would get out of the car and into PennDOT if your friend drove you up to that building?
The same way that I always get in and out of a car.
Okay. Is it difficult for you to get in and out of a car?
Yes,
okay.
It's difficult, but I can't sit in the middle. I mean, I can't edge my way over.
Okay.
I have to sit near to the door.
Okay.
But I can I do have the ability to get out.
Okay. And you mentioned that your son sometimes drives you to Trader Joe.
Yes.
Does that grocery store have a parking lot?
Yes.
And how do you get in and out of the Trader Joe's?
A ramp.
And do you do that by yourself?
No, he comes with me.
Okay. Does he ever drop you off somewhere but not get out of the car and help you get into a building?
It has not happened yet.
Okay. Would that be difficult for you to do?
If they have those heavy doors, it's extremely difficult.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's okay.
Okay. You mentioned attending a wedding at Bard College.
Yeah.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
And that was 1 or 2 summers ago, I think you testified.
Yeah, yes, two summers ago we figured out.
Now, you were asked a few questions about a concierge service in this building, and you said, I think I got this down, they don't pick you up off the floor. What were you referring to when you said that?
When I fell,
And when was that?
when I broke my leg.
Okay. Have you fallen again since then?
No.
Good. And have you had any scares?
Am I what?
Had any scares about falling?
Am I scared? Terrified.
Okay, and why is that?
I'm not as steady as I was. I had fallen 2 times before that, but each time I was pushed, and I didn't break anything. I was lucky because it was outside, and I head went down and hit a wall. So it really was a much more dangerous fall than this, and yet this gave me much more trouble.
And when you say you were pushed, did somebody push you on
I pushed
purpose?
because I was being lady good, whatever, and I took 2 old ladies, and it's funny now, this was about 6 or 7 years ago, to the movies. I picked them up, because they never get to and I took them to the movies, and I brought them back here to have lunch, dinner, and I said, please use the ramp when we were leaving. And this lady said to me, no, I'm better off on the stairs. I do much better and I'll be fine. So I walked up the stairs, up the one that usually uses the ramp, in front of her, and she slipped. And she knocked me over. She was fine. But I went rolling right down the hill. And that's when I really got hurt.
And when you say that you're terrified of falling, is there anything that you do or don't do that you used to do because of that fear?
Everything.
Can you give me an example?
Yeah. I was completely independent. I had my car then, and I wouldn't take it during the week. I would go by myself in town and back. After that, it just completely changed my life.
Okay. Just to clarify, is today the first time that you and I have met together in your apartment, or have we done that before?
No, you came, I think,